What do adventure athletes and Liberty have in common, besides all of these guys needing some serious life insurance? I'm here to share with you a business philosophy called Own Your Life, and how through this philosophy, a unique and powerful partnership was formed between Peter van Ketz and Liberty. For those that aren't familiar with the Own Your Life philosophy, I'd like to just spend a little bit of time on it, give you some history because it forms the background of my story. It's 2009. Liberty's been silent since 2007. We play in a marketplace which is incredibly complex and incredibly cluttered. It's time to change the game. We decide to start empowering our customers to own their lives. No more boggling insurance speak. Let's speak to our customers in a way and in a tone that they understand. Let's create products that mean a lot to them and meet their needs. One problem: it's an intangible product and it's a grudge purchase. So what do? We create ambassadorship, find real stories about real people who own their lives, and in so doing, like this gentleman here, can inspire others to own their lives. So Pete was the perfect candidate to do such things. But sponsorship wasn't about naming rights, it wasn't about branding a boat, it was accompany Pete every step of the way. Throughout the sponsorship, there were various key challenges. Pete's story especially was an incredibly powerful one, but it was to show people and not tell them how to own their lives. And Pete's story really was powerful enough to do this. So we set about leveraging him in the media. But a brand ambassador needs a logo. And our next key challenge was trying to get a little bit of airtime with regards to like our logo or a mention. Pete was there sewing an incredible story, and there was me praying in the background, please, Pete, please, link it back to the brand, link it back to the brand. But I'm proud to say that we got a 15-to-1 return on investment. Our next challenge was to galvanize the local community. We needed people to meet Pete, spread his story, and in so doing, enhance the Own Your Life messaging. We're in the business of relationship marketing, and the power of word of mouth is very powerful, so we decided to use it for our sponsorship. We launched this boat in East London to galvanize the local community, and it was a fantastic move because in essence, they started organizing events without us even being involved, and we just got a lot of free publicity, and the newspapers got involved, and it was fantastic. Another key challenge was getting our staff on board. It was important that they bought into the whole ambassadorship concept. So we got Pete to talk to in our internal launch of the Own Your Life concept, and we also got him to give some motivational talks. Yet the most moving moment was when the Liberty Choir on a Friday afternoon pitched up at OR Tambo Airport to sing Pete farewell. They didn't have to be there, but they chose to be there. And for us, that showed that they really bought into the Own Your Life concept and what Pete was doing. This is not a blank slide, don't worry. But the massive lead up to the event, to the race, left us, there were no more interviews, no more motivational talks, what next? So we decided to create a race website, which not only tracked Pete's progress, but also his competitors. And in doing so, created a little bit of a competitive spirit. Pete would blog on it every few days, which would keep everyone up to speed. And there were links to his Facebook and Twitter sites. And also, if you're feeling charitable, you could donate to Pete's charity of choice. Yet Pete's well-being was of critical importance to us, like he said. So we had functionality where you could send a message of support to him, and it would take you 10 seconds. A really funny story was one of the supporters admitted that his boss came in one day and said, "Geez, you've been working so hard. You've been glued to that seat and that computer for the last 2 weeks. What's going on?" And all she knew was that all she was doing was watching Pete's progress, not really working. Yet, there were things that also didn't work. And with the huge groundswell with the local community who got behind Pete, there was also times where they went off on a tangent, and it was quite hard to sometimes manage them from a brand perspective. Also, the lack of universal appeal. Pete definitely appealed to one of our core target markets, but he didn't appeal to everyone, but it was a great learning nonetheless. And lastly, the measurement tools for the sponsorship, for the success of the sponsorships. We're traditionally a naming rights company, and a lot of the metrics that we were using just didn't suit what we were trying to do. So we had to come up with a whole bunch of new metrics to measure the sponsorship. What worked? Our relationship with Pete and his manager was power. There was open communication, no mess, no fuss, no politics, no nonsense. It was very honest. And the greatest success of all was that although Own Your Life is still in a fledgling stage, it started to gain traction and people started to show how they could own their lives. And we often saw that with regards to our staff, which is very successful. Thank you, Pete. Some of the key learnings of the campaign, I'll go back to the measurement tools. That was a great learning for us. I think before any sponsorship in future, I think we're going to go back to the drawing board, get some of our partners involved and come up with some proper metrics. Have a slush fund. Hidden costs are always around the corner. And although you can plan incredibly well, you still, unfortunately, you're going to be paying for one or two little things you didn't bargain for, like my trip to Antigua to wish Pete, welcome Pete back. And then often when you're thinking you're sponsoring one person, you're not. You're sponsoring a community. And by doing that, you've got to be prepared of where they're going to take the brand and also how to leverage that power, because it's a beautiful thing. Just in closing, although Own Your Life is still in a fledgling stage and the sponsorship was keyed with a lot of other activities like an Own Your Life activation, it still was incredibly successful and it gave our brand a lot more depth, and there's been a slight shift in perception which we hope to see carry on into the future. Thank you very much.